My name is Sarah. I am 16 years old, and I come from a very simple family. My father is a shopkeeper, my mother is a housewife, and I have a younger brother who goes to school. Like most girls my age, I had big dreams. I wanted to study hard, pass my exams with good marks, and one day become a doctor. Everyone in my family had pinned their hopes on me. But behind every dream, there is a struggle. For me, that struggle began when my parents decided to send me to private tuition. In our town, tuition teachers are considered very important. Many parents think that their children can only succeed if they attend private classes after school. My parents also believed this, so they enrolled me with Mr. Kamal, a well-known tuition teacher in our area. He was respected in the neighborhood and had been teaching for many years. Parents trusted him with their children, especially with girls, because they believed teachers were like second fathers. On the first day, I walked into his tuition center with my books pressed tightly against my chest. I was nervous, but also excited. The room was small but filled with charts, maps, and books. There were around 12 other students sitting in neat rows. Mr. Kamal, a man in his early 40s with neatly combed hair and glasses, welcomed me with a smile. "Ah, you must be Sarah," he said warmly. "I've heard you're a bright student. Sit here in the front row." His words made me feel proud. I thought to myself, maybe I will learn a lot from him. For the first few days, everything felt normal. He taught mathematics, English, and science with confidence. He often praised me for answering quickly, saying things like, "Very good, Sarah, you are sharp," or "You will make your parents proud." I felt happy to hear his compliments, but slowly I began to notice small things that didn't feel right. When other students answered, he would just nod, but when I spoke, his eyes lingered longer. When I passed him my notebook, his fingers brushed mine deliberately. Sometimes, he asked me to stay behind after class, saying, "I will explain this topic to you personally." At first, I thought maybe I was overthinking. He was a teacher after all. But then, his personal explanations turned into private talks. Instead of discussing mathematics, he would ask me questions like, "Sarah, do you have a boyfriend?" Or, "You are very beautiful. Do boys say this to you at school?" His questions made me uncomfortable. I would lower my head and say softly, "No, sir." "Please, can we focus on studies?" But he would chuckle and reply, "You're shy now, but one day you will understand. Beauty like yours shouldn't be wasted only on books." Those words made me feel strange, dirty even. I started to dread tuition time. One evening, after everyone had left, he called me again. I hesitated, but I didn't want to disrespect him, so I stayed. He sat close to me and said, "Sarah, you're special. You are not like other girls. If you give me your love, I can make your future bright. I can help you with exams, with career, with everything. Just trust me." My heart pounded in my chest. I felt trapped. I wanted to run out of the room, but my legs felt frozen. I didn't reply. I just kept my eyes on the floor. That night, I couldn't sleep. His words kept echoing in my ears. "Give me your love." I hated those words. I was only 16. I didn't even fully understand what love meant. But I knew that what he wanted was not love. It was wrong. The next day I went to tuition again, but this time my heart was heavy. I sat quietly in the corner, avoiding his eyes. When he asked me a question, I answered quickly and looked down. I thought maybe if I stayed quiet, he would stop. but he didn't. In fact, he became bolder. He leaned close whenever he got the chance. He smiled in ways that made me uncomfortable. Sometimes, when he handed me a notebook, he would let his fingers brush mine longer than necessary. I felt disgusted. One day after class, he whispered, "Sarah, you look even more beautiful when you're shy. You should smile for me." I forced a weak smile, but inside, I felt my stomach turn. I wasn't smiling for him. I was smiling because I was scared. Each day, my fear grew. Each night, my sleep became lighter. I would lie awake staring at the ceiling, thinking, what if he tries to do something worse? What if he doesn't stop at words? I thought of leaving tuition, but how could I? My parents had paid fees. They trusted him. They believed he was helping me prepare for exams. How could I tell them he was hurting me instead? But hiding the truth started affecting me badly. My marks in school dropped even more. Teachers asked why I wasn't performing like before. My friends teased me, saying, "Sarah, you're always lost in your thoughts." I couldn't tell them the reason. Who would understand? At home, I became quieter. My mother noticed. She asked, "Sarah, is everything okay at tuition? Is Sir teaching well?" My lips wanted to say the truth, but fear sealed them shut. I just nodded and said, "Yes, Mama. Everything is fine." But it wasn't fine. It was getting worse. One evening after class, Mr. Kamal asked everyone to leave except me. I froze. I didn't want to stay, but he said in a stern voice, "Sarah, sit down. I need to talk to you about your future." The other students left. My heart began beating like a drum. He came closer, too close, and said softly, "Sarah, you can become great, but only if you learn to give something in return. I can make your life easier, better grades, better opportunities, but I want you. You understand?" I shook my head quickly, whispering, "No, sir, please. I only came to study." He laughed softly. "You're scared now, but soon you will realize. You need me." His words pierced through me like knives. That moment, I knew I couldn't continue like this. If I stayed silent, he would never stop. He would only push further, take more, demand more. That night, I cried harder than ever before. I prayed, asking God for courage. And then I made my decision. I would tell my parents. It wasn't easy. I was terrified. What if they didn't believe me? What if they blamed me? But I remembered something my father always told me. "Sarah, if something wrong happens, never hide it. Silence makes evil stronger." The next evening, after dinner, I gathered all my courage. My hands were trembling, but I spoke. "Papa, Mama, I need to tell you something about tuition." They looked at me with concern. My mother asked gently, "What is it, Sarah?" And then, with tears rolling down my cheeks, I told them everything. Every single detail. The private talks, the strange touches, the way he locked the door, his words, "Give me your love." At first, there was silence. My parents just stared at me, shocked. My father's face turned red with anger. My mother's eyes filled with tears. My father slammed his hand on the table. "How dare he? He calls himself a teacher, but he is a monster." My mother held me tightly, stroking my hair. "Why didn't you tell us before, Sarah? We are your parents. We will always believe you." Hearing those words, I broke down completely. I had been holding my fear inside for weeks, and now it all poured out. My tears wet my mother's clothes, but she didn't let go. For the first time in a long while, I felt safe. Papa stood up and said with fire in his eyes, "This will not end here. Tomorrow we are going to the police. He must pay for what he has done. That night, I felt lighter. My parents believed me, but at the same time, I was terrified. What if people blamed me? What if they said it was my fault? Those thoughts haunted me until sleep finally took over. The next morning, Papa and Mama took me to the police station. I had never been there before. My hands trembled as we walked inside. An officer noticed and said kindly, "Don't worry. Just tell us the truth. We are here for you." I gathered all my courage and told them everything, from the first day he started talking strangely, to the times he whispered, to the moment he said, "Give me your love." I described his behavior, his actions, and how scared I had been. The officer wrote everything down carefully. "You are very brave," he said when I finished. "Most girls stay silent, but you spoke up. That takes courage." My father added angrily, "He should be punished so that no teacher ever dares to harm a child again." Within a few days, the police investigated. They even spoke to other students. At first, everyone was shocked. Some defended him, saying, "Sir Kamal? No, he can't do that. He's so respectable." But slowly, whispers began to spread. Other girls admitted in private that he had made them uncomfortable too, though none of them had dared to complain before. Finally, the police arrested him. I can still remember the day. They came to his tuition center and took him away in front of everyone. Some students gasped in disbelief. Others stared quietly. For me, it was a strange moment. I wasn't happy, but I wasn't sad either. I just felt justice beginning to take its course. But my real struggle had only started. News spread quickly in our neighborhood. Some people praised me. Aunties said to my mother, "Your daughter is brave. May God protect her." But others whispered behind my back. I could hear them say, "Why did she go to tuition alone? Maybe she encouraged him. Maybe it's not true." Those words hurt me more than anything. I wanted to scream, "Why do you blame me? I am the victim." But my parents reminded me, "Sarah, truth always faces resistance. Don't let people's words weaken you." My school principal called me to her office. She spoke softly. "Sarah, I heard about what happened. I want you to know we support you. If you ever need help, my door is open." For the first time, I felt society wasn't completely cruel. There were people who stood with me. Meanwhile, Mr. Kamal sat in jail awaiting trial. The police found enough evidence and testimonies from others to prove he had crossed boundaries before. He wasn't just a bad teacher. He was a predator hiding behind respectability. The court case was difficult. I had to repeat my story in front of strangers, lawyers, and judges. My voice trembled, but I told the truth again and again. My father sat beside me, holding my hand. My mother prayed silently with her eyes closed. Their strength gave me strength. Months later, the verdict came. Mr. Kamal was found guilty of harassment and abuse of trust. He was sentenced to prison. The judge said, "Teachers are meant to guide, not exploit." This crime is a betrayal to both education and humanity. When I heard those words, tears filled my eyes. Justice was served, but the scars inside me remained. Nights were still hard. I had nightmares. Sometimes I woke up crying, remembering his words, his stares. But slowly, with my family's love, I began to heal. I started focusing on my studies again. It wasn't easy. Every time I opened a book, memories of tuition came back. But my father encouraged me. "Don't let him take your dreams too. He tried to ruin you, but you will rise stronger." and I did. I worked harder than ever. I began to see education not as a burden, but as my weapon, my shield against people like him. I studied not just for grades, but to prove to myself that I was more than what happened to me. Closing reflections. Now, whenever I sit under the night sky and look at the stars, I don't feel broken anymore. I feel whole. My first encounter with betrayal could have crushed me, but instead it forged me into someone stronger, someone braver. Yes, that teacher tried to take my dignity, but he failed. Because dignity doesn't belong to the abuser, it belongs to the survivor. And this is my message to every girl, every boy, every parent, every teacher. Listen when children speak. Respect the trust that comes with teaching. Never stay silent in the face of wrong. Education is not just about books. It is about building character and protecting one another. I was 16 when I faced darkness, but today I stand in light. And I want the world to know. Silence protects the predator, but truth protects the victim. Always choose truth. Your story, no matter how painful, can become someone else's survival guide. Don't let fear silence you, because courage has the power to change lives.